Uber Eats drivers, there is one clue on that offer that might indicate if it's too heavy for you. And it's probably not where you're even looking. I discovered this recently the hard way. I had a great single item, 1 mile, $13 payout. And that was great until I discovered I was actually dealing with this 50-pound massive bag of rice. And there's a really simple way of spotting these kind of orders at the offer before you even accept it. I'll show you exactly where to look, and then also the biggest mistake that drivers make when they're trying to avoid these kinds of orders. And then I'm going to share some stores that really should cause you concern dealing with heavy items like this. So like I said, I recently did one item. It was a shop and deliver order. And as soon as I accepted it, I went in and I saw it was a bag of rice to Smart and Final. What a great payout. So when I got to the store, I almost didn't even get a cart because it was just a bag of rice. And then I did notice closer, I thought it said 25 pounds. So I got the cart just to make it easy on myself. As I was going down the aisle, I used color. And this is a pro tip for you when you're doing shop and deliver orders. Look for color. And then when you get closer, look for the words, the type of brand you're looking for, and the specifics. And this is exactly what I did. If I recall, that bag was yellowish. So I went right to that spot and remember 20 pounds or so. And I started scanning. And then it just said, nope, incorrect item. And then I saw something about being gluten-free. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's a different bag. So right next to it, I scanned that one. Still was the wrong item. Then I actually looked closer and I saw 50 pounds. Looking down on the floor there on that shelf, this was a massive bag of rice. And so I flipped it over, scanned it. It was the right one. And then I picked it up. It wasn't that bad. Once I got it in the cart, I realized that was manageable. And then after that, I went through all the steps to check out where you have to be careful using the card and then taking a picture of the receipt. When I got in my car, this is a little bit older, as you can imagine. And so I've had many repairs in the leather seats in the back that I've done. So I gently laid this massive bag of rice back there. And before we continue, I want to share that easy way that you can identify this at the offer. So, most drivers, we want to be profitable. You look at the payout, you look at the distance and the time, and that's mostly how we're making our decisions. But you always have to look closely. Look down there at the bottom. There's a little logo that says heavy. You need to check that because otherwise you're going to get tricked just like I did thinking, oh, this is so easy, one item, and I missed that heavy part. Now, obviously, I'm okay with that, but all drivers don't have the same capabilities. So like anything with practice, you'll get better at it. And obviously, I need to get better at that too. I'm really good at just looking at the pay, the distance, the time, and generally where it's going. That's all I usually do. But now I'm going to look down just like you should and see if there's that nice heavy logo. Again, practice makes perfect. So anyway, getting back to I had that massive bag of rice in the back of my car and I was headed to the drop-off. So as I pulled up to the house, I was carrying that big bag of rice. And before I set it down, I could see the sign on there that said, don't knock or ring ever. And I think if I remember, it said, don't knock or ring in the app, just leave it at the door. But I have a 50-pound bag of rice. So I did set it down to take the drop-off picture. And then I rang the doorbell because you know what? Any customer probably would appreciate me handing the bag of rice. You know how hard it is to pick up something heavy off the ground or the floor? And this is exactly what I did. When she opened the door, she was a thin, slight woman. And so I had already picked it up and I offered, can I bring it inside for you? Because I think the bag was like half of her weight. She said no. And I said, well, at least let me hand it to you. And so I did that. I brought it out to her and I could see under the weight of that bag, she did struggle. So again, I'm just using customer service to have a good connection with her. And I'm being helpful because again, 50-pound bag of rice. So that makes you think, why would the customer do this? A 50-pound bag of rice. What if she has small kids and her husband's at work? Is she going to take them and go to the store? No. That's where Uber Eats comes to the rescue, and drivers like you and I can help her. So this customer and many other customers are using the app to get us to bring heavy items to them. And earlier I mentioned that drivers make a mistake in canceling an order once they accept it, and then they're surprised by seeing this big 50-pound bag of rice. Don't cancel orders. If you're getting 15% and higher cancellation rate, this is a good way to lose your job. Uber Eats can rightly deactivate you because you're not committing and following through with what you said you were going to do. There's a big difference, and we won't have time to go into that now. There's a big difference between accepting certain offers, but if you take any offer and then you don't complete it, then you're failing to do your job. You should only take orders that you actually intend and plan on completing. So again, you can be deactivated for your cancellation rate. You cannot be deactivated for your acceptance rate. And this is a big deal. And I hope you are not a driver like this. And if you are, now you know better. You don't need to accept an offer and then look at it and then decide if you want to cancel it. That pro tip I mentioned earlier, that sets you up for success, having all the information you need right at the offer. Overall, just save cancellations for true emergencies, and those are very rare. So please share, what is the heaviest order that you've come across doing Uber Eats? And how did it turn out? How was it based on your physical well-being? And then the interior of your car, I mentioned my leather seats. How did that treat your car? And then also wear and tear. Your insights are going to help all drivers see, maybe it's not a good idea to pick up heavy orders. This brings up the next point of knowing which stores and businesses and even restaurants are known for having heavy items, and drivers may wish to avoid heavy items for a ton of reasons. One, our physical well-being. Maybe we're not strong enough to handle it. Or what if we're actually sick or recovering from some kind of medical procedure and we just want to limit ourselves? Or maybe we care about our cars. I know I sure do. Remember, I've repaired my back seat many times. I want to keep it in good condition. Or just overall wear and tear on our vehicle. Heavy items, they're found in primarily shop and deliver orders, and they're also found in package deliveries. The third would be in catering orders for restaurants. Those are rare. The first two are far more common. Wholesale stores such as Smart and Final, where I found that 50-pound bag of rice. Also, there's Costco. There's Sam's Club. Home improvement stores, they have massively heavy items such as Home Depot and Lowe's. Inside there, you can find heavy bags of concrete or sand or dirt or just some really bulky heavy things like wood. Also, businesses, certain ones could be known for asking you to do package deliveries transporting really heavy items. You're going to have to pay attention to the type of business that is. Here's how you can protect yourself with heavy items, and we're going to start with the extreme, the most extreme, all the way up to the most likely. If you have physical limitations, then the most extreme thing that you can do is just refuse. Never ever do any shop and deliver orders, and never do a package delivery. Instead, you're just going to do restaurant deliveries like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, food deliveries like that. It's not heavy. Naturally, this really limits your earnings opportunities, but you're actually protecting yourself from the most unhealthy of orders. The next option is to decline package deliveries from the big places like Home Depot and Lowe's, because when you see the offer, they don't actually tell you or give you any idea what's inside. Earlier, I mentioned that there's one type of tip that you can get from still home improvement stores, and that's with the shop and deliver orders. Package deliveries don't give you an insight into anything. Shop and deliver orders, those are different. They're going to show one item or two items. And now you know from the beginning, look for the heavy logo. The best and easiest way to manage these kind of heavy orders would just be don't accept any offer, no matter what kind of business, restaurant, store, anything. if you see that heavy logo in the bottom. Just don't do it. This is actually the easiest and a most efficient way of managing these. Now, no matter what kind of shape you're in, this tip actually protects you from injury or if you're getting over an illness. Or do the opposite approach. A lot of people like to pay to go to a gym and work out, but actually we're getting paid to work out. So maybe you want those kind of heavy offers. It's called getting paid to lift weights. And we're all getting our steps in all the time when we're out doing food delivery. So this is a great way. We're getting exercise and health benefits. And so maybe it's great when we see heavy orders. There are common mistakes that drivers make from stores that sell these kind of heavy items. I already mentioned it earlier. I did an experiment and I took an offer from Home Depot. So you can learn from my expense. Watch that video next and I'll see you there.